Welcome everyone. My name is Jay Cummings. I'm the Superintendent of Schools in Grafton. Welcome to our first show. This show is designed to highlight the fantastic staff and students of Grafton over the next few months.
My name is Sydney. I'm a senior at Grafton High School, and today we're here with
Dr. Coakley. I am the assistant principal at Millbury Street School.
So thank you for joining us, our first guest on our show in progress, if you will. Recently, just last night, it was actually announced that you became the Assistant Principal of the Year for Massachusetts. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Huge honor, well deserved. So we'd like to spend the next few minutes kind of getting to know you, both as a principal and just as a person. So in terms of the principal part, or assistant principal, you've been assistant principal at Millbury Street now for 7 years. Can you talk about your experience as assistant principal and what's your favorite part of the job and maybe what's the most challenging?
Okay. So I want to start, my favorite part of the job, of course, is the students. So over the years, because they start in 2nd grade and go all the way through 6th grade, I form a lot of relationships with them. And so the best parts of my day are projects that we work on in school. We've done food drives. I have a cricket club that I do once a week with a group of students. We have done projects such as mindfulness boxes. I think because we initiated that, now I feel like the kids are more service-minded and really come to us and suggest things that they're interested in, so we're able to support a cause that they might, from the ground up develop. I think a challenging piece is that sometimes we have to get to work, right? So we don't always have time to do the projects with everyone, but we try to connect with as many kids as we can. I would say that instructionally, I have a big interest in mathematics education, so I've been instrumental in the district in that way, supporting teachers and students as they learn mathematics. I think that overall, it's a really positive place to be, and so I feel fortunate to have worked here for 7 years.
Well, we've been fortunate to have you for 7 years. You mentioned math, and you do help us across the district with math when you can, above and beyond the assistant principal role. Recently, you went and received your doctorate degree, and that was, can you speak about that a little bit?
Sure. So my doctorate's from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. It's in teacher education and school improvement, both interests for me. And so mathematics, really, my study that I did for the last couple of years was looking at how conversation in mathematics can lead to understanding. And so I do a lot of work with teachers about the types of questions to ask students, and then how to delve into mathematics more deeply instead of just superficially, and really getting to what kids think mathematically instead of using a lot of pencil and paper as the only form of assessment. And I think we've learned a lot about what kids are able to do and not necessarily where their weaknesses are. So it really allows us to get to know what's in their heads, and that's really been revolutionary for us.
That's great.
Yeah.
when did you know you wanted to go into the principal area?
Yeah. So in college, I had to give a speech. And so one of the questions when I stood up to present for the whole college board was, what did I want to do eventually with my teaching degree? And I wanted to teach teachers. So I knew that there was an avenue for me to work with how to improve schools, because as a kid, I always loved school, but it was really apparent to me that not everybody did. So I had that mission-mindedness of, how do I make this a better place?
Like everyone loves school.
Yes. And so, and I really do think that's why I got into mathematics, was because there's a lot of anxiety around mathematics.
Yeah. Yes,
there's a lot of
sure.
angst. And I didn't understand that, because I felt like math was something that was more predictable back then. And so I just kind of worked with teachers along the way and with students to find different ways of making it more engaging.
That's great.
Yeah.
What did you do for work before coming to Grafton?
So my first job was in New York City. I was a first grade teacher in the Bronx.
Wow.
And so after that, I moved to New Canaan, Connecticut, where I was a first and third grade teacher, and then a math and science specialist. And then I became an assistant principal there. Then I went on I was the math curriculum coordinator for the district. And then we relocated to Massachusetts, and I started this job. Yeah.
So growing up, was your favorite subject math?
No, so my favorite subject was recess and art.
I
But
do.
yeah, and it still is my interest. I played sports through high school. I'm a soccer player and a softball player. And through college, I did intramurals. We didn't have club back then. But up until probably I moved to Massachusetts, I also did women's soccer leagues and softball leagues.
Wow.
So I really like a team approach to things, and I like to be with other people. And what was the second part of your question? You asked me about something about, yeah. So, but I think that my personal interest in teaching came from wanting everyone to feel like a team approach is the way to really improve schools. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Where did you grow up? Did you
So I
mention that?
grew up in Brewster, New York.
Okay.
But when I was in high school, the middle of my high school, we moved to Florida. My dad retired.
Oh,
He was a
wow.
fireman in New York City, and I'm the youngest of 5. And so we moved down there. I finished my college degree down there, and then everybody moved back. And so I moved back with my family and have been, well, in New England ever since. And I live here with my husband, our 3 kids,
Yeah.
and our 3 dogs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it keeps me busy.
And what do you like to do when you're not being assistant principal?
Oh, that's what the other piece was the painting. So I like rehabbing things, so like furniture. I like to do watercolors and all sorts of, signs and painting. So painting is really a joy for me. So that's probably like my biggest hobby now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. I saw in your write-up about the assistant principal of
Yes.
the year that you love watching hockey.
Yeah. So we love sports in general in my
Okay.
family. I grew up in a big sports family, although I did marry a Red Sox, and I'm a Yankee,
Oh, I
I'm
didn't
from
know
New
that.
York. I've learned to love the Red Sox because I've lived here so long
Wow.
and my family's so behind it. But I think the one sport that we all come together and actually sit in the living room and watch is hockey. So my husband played in high school, my son played in high school, and now we even catch Holy Cross games, any kind of
kidding.
local games. It's just something we all like to do.
Bruins
Yeah.
fan?
Yeah, Bruins fan.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
I wanted to just get a sense from you. I'm sure no 2 days are alike.
Right.
But what, in a general sense, what does the day in the life of an assistant principal look like?
yeah. So I think the biggest difference between being a principal and an assistant principal is the assistant principal pretty much operates the day-to-day functioning of the building and the staff. So anywhere from checking in substitutes, making sure that people know where they need to go, what tools they need for that particular job that day. Anything that comes up, sometimes the buses are delayed, communicating all of that to families and also to staff. So really, somebody who is interested in being an assistant principal needs to be somebody who's willing to move in a lot of different directions.
Communication.
Yeah, communication is really important. And also really just trying to predict what might be needed. So you have to kind of think 3 moves ahead, what might happen. So a lot of times we have special events that are happening in the building. We have a lot of people in and out. So really being ready for all things. I think also too, sometimes kids need to see me during the day. So it's really being able to support them both when things are going well and then sometimes when they've made choices that haven't been an expected choice, and really giving them some support in how to make sure that they don't make that mistake again. But also communicating that with the teachers too, because front-loading the expectation is probably the most important, and then the consistency of how you deliver that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you've been an absolutely phenomenal first guest, the best first guest we've ever had.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're a fantastic person, a fantastic educator, and in that great award, being Assistant Principal of the Year, couldn't be more well-deserved. So
Well,
again,
thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Again.
Thank you both for having me.
so
Thank you for
much.
coming.
Okay.
All right, now we're here with Senior Madigan Linane. So, when did you get into your talent of singing?
I've been singing pretty much all my life. I started early elementary school and in the choirs, and but I started playing acoustic guitar later on, probably around 8 years old, and at 10 I wrote my first song and started to combine the two.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. So recently you came out with an album, correct?
I
Can you
did.
speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So the album is called Beautiful Me. It has 6 original songs on it. Been working on it for a few years now. Started when I was a bit younger, but then, you know, life gets in the way sometimes. And I picked it up last year and ended up finishing it.
And do you record it at home? Like I picture you in your bedroom creating this album, or do you go someplace? Like how does that work?
Yeah, is there like, do you have like a record deal? Like what's?
It depends. I mean, personally, I'm not. I haven't been. I'm not experienced with producing
Right.
music
Okay.
necessarily. So, I went to a place in Princeton, Mass. Called Wachusett Recording, and worked with my producer there named Mike Harmon. He's brilliant. Berkeley grad. Can play pretty much every instrument in the book, and so he helped me with backing instruments that I couldn't play, and putting it all together and editing it and stuff like that.
And how do, I know you're going to perform a song for us today,
Yes.
but you've at least 6 on the album, 6
Yeah.
original songs. Like what's the process to go from maybe a melody in your head to
Yeah.
what we're going to see today? How does that play out?
Yeah. For me, I usually, it's something that the thing has to be personal to me, or something that I observe or feel strongly about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just really anything in daily life that I encounter, whether it's an issue that we all face or something that I may see or I may go through, and it kind of depends on the situation, how the song comes out. But usually the lyrics and the melody kind of just come at the same time.
Well, at the same time, I was wondering kind of
yeah.
how that worked.
Or sometimes I may write lyrics before a melody, but usually they come simultaneously.
Do you have artists out there that have been influential to you?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the musicians who write their songs, I've listened to those, and kind of grew up listening to them, and have a great respect for their writing process. I think Sarah Bareilles is an amazing influence. Yeah, and she's super talented. I saw a concert with her when I was younger, and I mean, she really kind of just tells the truth in her music. So I thought that was really cool. And Adele writes, one divorce, and she comes out with 3 albums or whatever it was. But I mean, people who take from their life experience and make music out of that.
That's great.
Would you say you have a certain like genre of music that you write? Like, would you assign yourself a genre?
I think I never really decided on a genre because I kind of flowed into a few.
Right.
I would say probably pop, because it has sort of that sound to it, but also a sense of folk or indie music, because it has more of like a story behind it. Yeah, I'd say a mixture of those.
And how about thoughts for another album? Anything in the works?
I've been writing more songs since I released the album, and working on kind of tidbits of songs. I may be looking at a single in the future rather than
Kidding.
a full album next, because I don't quite have enough ideas to put together for another one at the moment. But I think a single maybe.
Fantastic. It's amazing what you've already accomplished at, what are you,
Thank
17?
you.
How about jumping, say we flash forward 10 years. Do you think you'd potentially be doing something with music?
Yes, I'd definitely like to keep music in my life to some extent. Whether it's, I'm going to college next year. I don't know where yet, but whether it's a minor or a major or even something that I do on the side and perform out, I definitely still want it to be a big part of my life, and depending on where I go into career-wise, I may be going towards the music, or I may be going towards something different.
And growing up, was there any other interests that you had along with music?
I was into sports for quite a while. I played lacrosse.
We played lacrosse together.
I played basketball for about 10 years. And those two sports were a big part of my life. And I mean, music was always kind of
The
there.
number one,
The lessons for music were there when I was growing up. I played piano and took lessons for about 3.5 years.
Wow. Do you play that now with any of your music?
I can. If you asked me to play a classical piece, I'd probably have to spend a few weeks, because I've kind of lost that part of what I learned.
That's
but I
amazing.
can play my way through.
Wow.
Probably.
That is so impressive to me. Well, your future's incredibly bright.
Yeah.
You're renowned as a
talented.
wonderful young lady, a great student. You're super friendly. You always say
Thanks.
great good morning every single morning. I'm sure you.
Firm good morning.
Yeah, it's very solid. She's early to school, earlier than some other
Wow.
kids.
I get there
Other
before the
than
bell.
you went through a phase where you were wearing like T-shirts on cold days,
Yeah.
but we worked through that. And now you come properly
I
dressed.
try. Yeah.
But just incredibly talented, and it's really exciting. It's amazing what you've accomplished already at 17.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Alright, so
It's-
now
it's-
you're gonna play us a song from
I
your album.
I am.
And what is it called?
So it's called Not Broken, and I was inspired to write this by what I observed to be the stigma against mental health, and I think we all have a connection to it somehow, and people living with a mental health issue today, whatever it is, it's kind of a testament to that, and that you don't have to feel insecure about it.
That's awesome.
We're very excited to hear.
Can I add one thing? And that's just, where would people go to get your album?
Yeah, so it's available on most streaming services that are iTunes, Spotify, Apple
crazy.
Music,
That's just so crazy.
Amazon.
That's
Yeah.
so
Awesome.
crazy.
Yeah, so kind of all
That's
those
awesome.
different.
So we might be able to
streaming
put
services.
that. The technical genius might find a way for us to put that on the screen for
Yeah,
people.
sure.
We can do that.
But that's awesome.
It'll be right here.
So proud of you.
Put it right here. All right.
Great.
Thank you so much, Madigan.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You
looking at me funny, but you have no reason to. You really think I'm different, but I'm just the same as you. Why don't you think before you say and think before you do? But yes, I have a problem, and yes, I am aware. You might not think it's real, you might not think I care, but if you look real deep and try to see what's true, there's nothing I can do and nothing I can say. I try every day to make it go away, but sometimes we can't fix the things we really think we can. So if you do have something you really want to say, why not be brave and confident and say it to my face? We all are human beings, face our problems every day. It may be a long road, but you have to take it, 'cause it's your life, and there's no time to fake it. I'm not broken, no, I'm just a little lost. I hear your rude comments and hear your stupid jokes, and every time you say one of those, and it's another poke, and every time you poke me more, I feel I'm gonna choke. But now something is different, I ignore you instead. I try to leave all alone the voices in my head, ones that keep me up at night and let me go to bed. You think this is what I wanted, trust me, I'd rather share. If you dare to be haunted by your tough and breaking stare, I wish you'd understand, but I don't know how you can. You keep asking me to make sure that it's real, that I'm not lying through my teeth and trying to attention still. Here I am to confirm your doubts and all of your suspicions. It may be a long road, but you have to take it, 'cause it's your life, and there's no time to fake it. I'm not broken, no, I'm just a little lost. I wanna tell you, but I just don't know how. It's something I have to do, I just don't want to fall down. I hope somehow I'm comforted, I hope something is said to help me reassure myself and help me go to bed. It's not something to stop, it's no habit, like I said. It's not something that can be fixed by something that you read. So just step back and watch as I try to clear my head. I just sing and dance and jump around, play my guitar instead. I'm standing here and asking you to mind your own business. It's just some little thing you can learn to just dismiss. So next time you notice something new, start to hold a grudge, just think about this song before you start to judge. It may be a long road, but you have to take it, 'cause it's your life, and there's no time to fake it. I'm not broken. I'm not broken. Whoa, whoa. No, I'm just a little lost, but I'm fine.
live today.